And the world is made by those who control their own destiny. It isn't made by those who don't do. It's made by those who do, which is what made me the man I am. I do.
Yeah.
Grow up, Lemon.
CEOs are tasked with value creation. That's literally their entire job, right? Strategy, vision, mission, resource definition, marketing shifts, all of it. Every single thing they do is about making sure they are creating the maximum amount of value. But there's one place where CEOs are actually actively destroying value. And chances are they don't even realize they're doing it. But before we get to that, I'd like to take a step back and maybe agree on some basic principles. 1, people are the only way value gets created inside a company. Whether it's ideating the product or developing or designing it or testing it or shipping it or servicing or selling it or billing for it, all value comes from the people inside the company. No people, no value. It's as simple as that. So it's in a company's best interest to have the best people it can so that it can create the most value it can. 2, the kinds of people who create significantly more value than the average, well, they have choices about where they can work. They may even have hundreds or thousands of choices of where they can work. So it's on you, the company, to figure out what you can offer those people to make them choose you over hundreds or thousands of other companies. 3, let's be fair. People seek to optimize or get the most return on their value. If they're going to show up to work and give you their passion, their attention, their focus, and their energy and experience, they want to get the most back. Now, while salary is a big part of this calculation, obviously, so is status. Levels of innovation, levels of collaboration or autonomy, the amount of support they get, the kind of culture they work in, the management style, the day-to-day operating procedures of a company, well, they enter into it too. The company that creates the best overall package of value to the candidate, they're the companies that attract the best people. When faced with these basic realities, CEOs very often jump to the same obvious conclusion. Make the company look more attractive. Maybe they call it being an employer of choice or a talent magnet. The language doesn't really matter. What does matter is that the idea is the same. CEOs assume that if the company looks good, more people will apply. Makes sense. But this is the point at which the pile of money begins to smolder, because ultimately the desire to look good is a money trap. Why? Well, because every company right now, as we speak, is spending effort, time, energy, and money on trying to look good. They may have some sort of slick, highly functional career site. Maybe they hired a really interesting, attractive marketing company to do some killer ads. Maybe it's personalized, automated messaging throughout the life of the candidate experience. That's all really cool stuff, and it's all there to make the company look good. Now, besides the fact that all those things are very expensive, they don't work. That company that was scandalized by a series of sexual harassment lawsuits, right now on their career site, it says how inclusive and open they are to everyone. Companies that are convicted of fraud like to talk about their level of integrity. And right now, that firm that's had all those whistleblowers come out about how poor their safety record is, well, they're telling some candidate about how much they care about safety, their commitment to safety. But candidates know what's up. They know when they're being lied to. They know, they can smell the whitewash being painted on corporate walls everywhere. And when every company is trying to look good, something strange happens. They all start to look the same. Sure, they love to talk about their integrity and the amount of support they give their people, or how incredibly inventive they are, their culture, their people, their values, all that stuff. But they do it without any sense of specificity. They're not being clear. They're vague generalizations, something really nice to put on a career site that looks good but says nothing. And guess what? When millions of companies are talking about their values or their culture or their people and they're not using specifics, they end up using the same language. They end up using the same phrasing. They all sound exactly the same. And then there are companies who are truly ready to compete, to not just be seen as a good company, but truly a great company. And I gotta ask, are you really willing to do what it takes to be seen as a truly great company? I mean, are you gonna offer Goldman Sachs level salaries? Are you really gonna let your employees work from anywhere in the world? Are you really gonna invest in that super expensive EAP program or pay for your employees' student loans? Are you prepared to build a gym on site and a laundry that goes next to it? What about gourmet meals every day? Are you prepared to offer a year's worth of family leave to families who have children? Trying to win the game of looking great is really expensive. And worst of all, it almost never works. CEOs love to look at Google's and Disney's and whoever's the hot company these days and say, let's just do what they do. I'm sorry, but that's a game of follow the leader. And playing follow the leader is a game you can't win unless you're Disney, unless you're Google. And you're not. And if you're not prepared to pay the cost of what it takes to be one of those companies, you're an also-ran. So what's the alternative to putting a pile of cash together on the ground and setting it on a light just to try and look good or even great? The answer? Looking different. Remember, the people we're talking about have options, which means they need a reason to choose you. And when everyone looks the same, there's nothing to choose. However, when you figure out what your differentiated value to the employee or to the candidate is, suddenly you stand out. In the same way that your products or services are chosen by your best customers because they can do things that no one else can do, that differentiated value, you have to define it for your candidates just as much as you define it for your customers. You need to offer talent something they simply can't get anywhere else. Now, you know that what makes your products or services different is the reason you can charge a premium for them. Well, it turns out showing how your company is different is the reason you don't have to pay a premium for great talent. CEOs that focus on that difference will be attracting the people they want, and those people will be hard-pressed to find a substitute for what you're offering. Your meaningful differentiated value is not just the reason they join, but it's the moat. It's the reason they stay. It's the reason great people perform. Which means that meaningful differentiated value that you offer talent is the root cause of your business's success. Making your differentiated value obvious is far more effective and far less expensive than, fighting to come in 87th on some meaningless best culture list. And this is what CEOs need to hear. When it comes to hiring the kind of people who grow businesses, looking good is a great way to waste a lot of money. The companies that succeed are those that show a clear differentiated value, that make it obvious to candidates how your mission, how your experience, how your reward structure is different from every other company, giving you a monopoly on a certain kind of talent. That's how you become choosable, so the best people you're looking for choose you.
Why are you wearing a tux?
It's after 6. What am I, a farmer?